Yes, guys, and welcome back to your Saturday edition of Chopping It Up with Charms, and we are going over FPL differentials. We're loving the FPL this season. Before we get into it, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and I will run you through all of the players that you will want as your differentials this season. Just to go over what that means, a lot of people kind of don't really understand the importance of that. In FPL, obviously you're going to have your set team with your baller players, your Salahs, your Irelands, your Isaks, the players that will be picked with your higher percentages. But what's going to make you different from everyone else is those other players who've been notching up contributions with low ownership. We don't all want to have the same team. We want to be able to pick a player or two out of the bunch. And hopefully this is what I'll be able to do for you today, is give you a list of players that are slightly different. Every single player listed will be under 10%. I do believe the highest percent is around 8 or something on this list, if I'm not mistaken. 9.2 technically, but listen, we'll call it under 10%. So I'll go starting from position to position. In goal, I've only picked a handful. I've only picked 3 that I think will be your good differentials. One of them pretty obvious from Bournemouth. We've got Petrovic. All these 3 goalkeepers will stack up at 4.5 million, making them all right budget options, in my opinion. I think it's pretty cheap, particularly for a goalkeeper. I think that the lowest goalkeeper is 4, the highest one's 5.5. So, yeah, sort of in that lower bracket financially. Georgi Petrovic for Bournemouth, I think, is going to be a great player. You know, I thought he should have stayed at Chelsea. I thought this was the season he'd be able to make a run at Chelsea's number 1, but obviously, you know, Enzo Maresca's got different plans for the club with Robert Sanchez, who's not on here. Don't worry about all of that noise. Could be, he is a differential pick, but I'm just not a fan of him. I think Petrovic will do good things for Bournemouth, and I think that he can keep a few clean sheets. So obviously at 4.1% percentage ownership, I think it's a good choice for you. The other 2 I've got is Areola, 5.4 percentage. They've got Sunderland week 1. West Ham, as you will see later on in this video, do dip into quite a hard patch of games early on. But I think Sunderland is a good place to be starting for them. Obviously, it's not really an amazing idea to take in a player knowing that you're going to bring him out. But if you like all of your team and you know, you don't really see anyone moving until relatively late stages, Areola is a player that you can get in for that week 1, get that clean sheet, and get that defensive contribution bonus. This season, defenders, goalkeepers, midfielders, they will be benefiting a lot more from their defensive contributions, and I have taken that into account with a few of the players on this list, but once again, we'll get into that a bit later. Next, in goal, I want to talk about Verbruggen from Brighton. 6.7 percentage ownership, so a little bit higher up on that differentials margin. But I just think the run of games they've got early on, I think that he could keep a clean sheet in a handful of them. You know, Fulham, Everton, City probably not so much, but then Bournemouth, Spurs. You know, I think that's a good run of form, and that a few of them they can keep sheets. I know that Brighton are pretty savvy at the back, particularly with the recruitment of players like De Kuipers. Also is a differential pick, but he will not be on here because, in my opinion, he's too bait. I think a lot of people have caught onto it, and I think that he will get further up. And I mean, as we move on to defenders, we will talk a couple of bait picks. You know, Murillo, Ola Aina, Nico Williams, all from Nottingham Forest. I think that they're all going to have a good season when it comes to stacking up points. Last season, Murillo would have ended one of the 2 highest scoring defenders if adjusted for defensive contributions. The other one being Milenkovic, his partner in crime. A 4.9 percentage from Murillo, he would have stacked up 10.67 DEFCON added on average. So, you know, for the 5.5 million, I think you're getting your bang for your buck there. Ola Aina, 17.5% people have picked him, and which is why I have switched my pick. If you saw last week's video, you know that Ola Aina is firmly in my team. I've switched him because I don't like how high his ownership is for Nico Williams, who, funnily enough, has got a substantially higher defensive contribution rating. Last season, Nico Williams would have stacked 6.2, where Nico Williams would have had an 8.7. Would have earned 18 extra points than he'd ended up with last season using the new defensive contribution system. And I like that, you know. I think Nico Williams is a solid player. And I think that he'll start most games. I think last season he didn't start for Forest, which is why a lot of his points seem a little bit more skewed if you were to go and do the comparatives. But I think that this season, he's proven himself, particularly in the back end of last year, and he will be making the move into the starting team. Nottingham Forest will start with Brentford, Palace, West Ham, Arsenal, Burnley, Sunderland. I think that there's plenty of clean sheets in there, particularly those games against West Ham, Burnley and Sunderland potentially. If not, I see some goals, I see some attacking contributions, as well as their known defensive contributions. For Crystal Palace, you can go with Maxence Lecroix, whatever that motherfucking name is. He had 82 pace on FIFA, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about his 1.1% ownership and the likelihood that he could keep a couple clean sheets, as well as Chris Richards. Obviously not an ideal start for them, having Chelsea, who look to come out all guns blazing, but Chris Richards only the 1% and would have an extra 9 on the defensive contributions from the last season. After Chelsea, they've got Forest, Villa, Sunderland, West Ham and then Liverpool. So I think that, there is a good run of form in there, particularly Villa, Sunderland, West Ham back-to-back. I do believe from the third week, Maxence Lecroix and Chris Richards could keep some clean sheets. I am speeding through this because we've just done defenders and we're well over halfway. Midfield, we're going to start with Arsenal. Weirdly enough, Odegaard has only got a 3.3%. Maybe it's due to his £8 million price tag. But I think he'll get great attacking returns, particularly in the first 2 weeks, as they do face United and then Leeds. Obviously, they do have Liverpool in week 3. So maybe if you wanted to take your £8 million out and swap him out for even like a Gakpo, someone like that, who is the second best attacking contributor for Liverpool outside of Mohamed Salah, and is looking to get a lot more game time after the departure of Darwin Núñez. Chelsea, we've got Pedro Neto, £4.2 million. Definitely not. 4.2% ownership at £7 million this season. I think Pedro Neto is going to be a great shout, to be honest. I think he earned his stripes to be starting at Chelsea, and obviously this is my bread and butter. I think that he'll rack up a lot of points. And he will show himself to be a good counterpart to Bino Gittins on the other wing, who I think will also be starting particularly early on in the season. I think Pedro Neto is a great shout for people involved, particularly at that low ownership. And I do think Chelsea have got a solid run of form with Palace, Forest, Fulham, Brentford. I think Chelsea could go in there and get a lot of points early on the board. Going back to Nottingham Forest, a player that's been doing my head in a little bit because everyone seems to know about it already is Elliot Anderson. 4.6% ownership, and only Caicedo profited more last season as a midfielder from defensive contributions, should you add the way that it's being done this year into last year's game. Because of that, obviously 4.6% ownership, I think Elliot Anderson's going to get figured out, and I think that that's going to go up later in the season. So if you are going to do it early. Don't bite the bullet later, 3-4 weeks in, when his ownership's gone up, because you'll only be playing catch-up. From that point, I've got Enzo Lefebvre from Sunderland. Impressive young baller, 1.1% in ownership, £5 million for his services in your FPL. He had an absolutely fantastic championship campaign last season. If you know, you know about Enzo Lefebvre. Very in demand at the minute. He looks like he's going to be holding it out at Sunderland, and they would be absolutely out of their mind if they weren't to be starting him for at least 32, 33 of those games and he stays fully fit. So I think that you'll have a very good, consistent shout in Enzo Lefebvre going forward in the season if you did want to keep him. And then Leeds, a team that, I live in Leeds itself, so I know quite a bit more about this team than a lot of other people. And one person I've met multiple times and I know is a fantastic baller is Wilfried Denyard Gnotto. 0.6% ownership. Feel like I talk about this guy every time I get the opportunity to, and there's for a reason for it. I believe in him. I believe in his ability, and I think that he will be able to do it in the Premier League. And at 0.6%, he makes a great differential. 5.5 million on the ownership. I think he's over affordable, and I think that he can just sit on your reserves, sit in your substitute bench, and come on for those good games. I know that they don't start relatively easy. They've got Everton, Arsenal, Newcastle, but then they have Fulham, Wolves and Bournemouth. And they are the 3 fixtures where I can see some points getting onto the board. Going forward, with only a couple minutes left, we're starting with strikers. I've only got 3 for you. Probably one of the more beta ones at 8.5% is Mark Gue. Once again, being a Chelsea fan, I know an awful lot about this kid. Very young, very talented for his age. Looked fantastically sharp in the Conference League last season. And I think that at a team like Sunderland at 4.5 million, he'll really be able to sink his teeth into a lot of those opposition, particularly West Ham week 1, Burnley week 2 and Brentford week 3. I think that there could be a couple of goals in there. And at 4.5%, there's no reason to not want to slap him in there. Once again, Leeds. Gone with Joel Pirro. Now, a lot of people are going to hate me for this one. They don't think he's actually that good. I do. I think that he's ready for his time to shine in the Premier League. And at 3.3% ownership, 5.5 million. If you just got a bit of pennies hanging about there, I think he's a good shout for you. But if you have a little bit more money hanging over and you're happy with your value team, and you did want to maybe throw a risk out there at 6.5 million, not the most expensive for a striker, but it's not the cheapest on this list. We've got Raul Jimenez. Now listen, I know he's not fantastic, but he's only 2.4% ownership. And a Prem proven striker. Prem proven at the very least. How many times have we seen this guy bag? Brighton, Man United, Chelsea going to be an hard game, but then Leeds, Brentford. That's 4 out of 5 games I think that he's got a very good chance of bagging against Brighton, United, Leeds, Brentford. At 2.4 million, there's no way Raul Jimenez don't start for Fulham at this point. Oh, I need to go get a glass of water down. I just necked off my entire list in 12 minutes. They're all my differentials going into week 1. And we'll keep it going for you. But I think that there's a bloody couple of solid players on there. And, you know, at the end of the season, we'll be looking back at this list. And bar a couple of wild injuries, I think that there's some pretty fantastic shouts in there. Don't even think about forgetting to not like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment on this video. And tell me your FPL differentials for this season. Tell me your whole FPL team. If you write down your whole FPL team, boy, I'll be impressed. I read all 5 comments that these videos get. And until there's 5 million of them, I will read every single bloody one of them. So once again, it's been Charms at the Chills.